Executive Director at the Council on American Islamic Relations in Minnesota. I wish I could say good afternoon. There's nothing good about why we're gathered here today. I'm standing here as a civil rights leader, as a person of faith, and as a neighbor in the city who's carrying grief, anger, and the deep need for answers. What I've seen over the last few days is not just a headline. I've seen people's eyes. I've heard it in apartment hallways, at memorials, and in living rooms where families are asking each other quietly and honestly, are we even safe here anymore? And all of us here, those behind me and those behind the cameras, and those that are going to be watching later, we are witnesses to what this moment feels like in our state and in our city. And I want to speak personally. I came to this country legally when I was 3 months old. I was sponsored by a Lutheran church here that I'm deeply indebted to and grateful to. One of the reasons why I'm a divinity student here today. And I still walk around with my passport. I have it right in my left pocket right here. Not because I've done anything wrong, because I'm just black enough, I'm just brown enough, and I look just foreign enough to wonder how I will be seen as a threat when I enter a room. And that is a feeling many people in the city are living with right now. I saw a post this week that asked a simple question. People keep asking, what was he doing at the scene? Referring to the late Alex Pretti. And the answer was, the scene is our homes. The scene is our neighborhoods. The scene is our businesses. Are we not supposed to live? Because this did not happen in some distant place. It happened where people raise their children, where they go to work, where they pray, and where they live ordinary lives. Our eyes do not lie about what people experience in moments like this. People in this community say they witnessed Alex Pretti lose his life in front of them, just as this city and this country have witnessed the deaths of Renee Good, of George Floyd, of Oscar Grant, and of Breonna Taylor. Different cities, different moments, and the same question that keeps coming back: who is accountable when life is taken? In a public interview after the shooting, Border Patrol Chief Greg Bovino was asked whether his comments sounded like he was blaming the victim. According to the interview, he responded by saying to the correspondent at CNN that the victims were the border agents. The victim was ICE. Not the man that lost his life, not the man that was murdered, not the man that was killed, but ICE themselves. As a person of faith, I believe that every life carries dignity. As a civil rights leader, I believe that every system must answer when that dignity is violated. And as a resident of the city, I believe that Minneapolis is capable of more than silence and caution and being told to protest peacefully in moments like this. So I'm asking our city leadership plainly and publicly, where do you stand when your residents are afraid in their own neighborhoods? We have heard what the city cannot do. We have heard what is outside of their authority. What people are still wondering to hear is, what is this city willing to stand for? Minneapolis has moved before, and Minneapolis has led before, and this moment is asking it to move again. We have a few people that are going to be speaking with us, and I'll introduce them throughout the press conference here today. But first, we have our Executive Director, Jaylani Hussein.
Jaylani Hussein. I'm the Executive Director for the Council on American Islamic Relations Minnesota chapter. We are here again, nearly a week and a half. We were standing right here demanding justice for Renee Good. What we have seen and have learned from the murder of Renee Good is that the federal government lies. The federal government lied about the murder of Renee Good. They lied about everything related to the matter of the murder of Renee Good. What we have seen since the murder of Renee Good is that the federal government will refuse, and is at this moment refusing, to even investigate the murder of Renee Good. We have seen nearly a week after the murder of Renee Good, the shooting of Jose, who was also in North Minneapolis. And not even 10 days after that, they have killed and murdered Alex Pretti. What we have seen, even though all of us should have known, is that immediately after the murder of Alex Pretti, they once again lied about everything related to the murder of Alex Pretti. What we know at this moment is this attack, assault, this siege of our neighborhood by these federal agencies is nothing more than a political retribution against Minnesota, against our nation, and against many who did not vote for this president. This is an attack on our democracy, and it's an attack on the way of life. Our neighbors are waking up every single morning with the screams and the beeping of cars and people with whistles howling to their neighbors to stay inside, that they are outside. What we have noticed and have seen is that these untrained, unintelligent bandits that have attacked our streets are not de-escalating anything. If you remember and you see that video once again, you will notice that Alex was actually just helping a woman who was physically shoved to almost nearly hitting her head in the bumper of that car. And as he is there, they are literally attacking this woman, and the only thing that Alex is doing is trying to stop the attack of ICE agents to this vulnerable woman. That was what he was doing. And instead, they grabbed him, and because they are untrained, undisciplined bandits who also came here to murder people, because the president and the vice president have told them that they have immunity. And I'm going to come back to that. They began to not only target him, to violently beat him, and to violently kill him. They did not even know where they were shooting at. And we see now this country and here in Minnesota, people are asking. And today we are formally making a demand, not the federal government. We are making a clear demand to the governor of the state of Minnesota. We are making a clear demand to the BCA. We are making a clear demand to the Hennepin County. We're making a clear demand to the Minneapolis Police Department. We're making a clear demand to the Hennepin County Sheriff. Do your job. If ICE agents and the federal government are refusing to charge for murder, it is time for state leaderships to hold these ICE agents to the Minnesota Constitution. That is what we are demanding. We are demanding for swift justice. They are getting away with murder. That's exactly what is happening here today and what we are seeing. We are tired of elected officials telling us to stay calm when they are coming and hunting our neighbors. We will be calm when justice is served. Peace will come if justice is here. We are demanding justice. And we don't want to hear no more charades. We're investigating. No. Charge them. There is enough to charge. There's enough video angle from every corner. There was a protester standing at every angle. We saw exactly what happened. We knew what Alex was doing. And yesterday I had a privilege of meeting some of the businesses who told me Alex was someone who deeply cared about his community. In fact, he was so deeply moved, he stood up every single day defending his neighbors. That is who Alex was. In fact, not only was he an ICU veteran at a VA, what Alex was doing was standing up for his people, standing up for his neighbors, standing up for every member of his community, and doing anything and similar to what Renee Good was doing. And he was murdered violently by this administration. And not only murdered, lied about what happened to him, lied about what was taking in place, lied about the fact that he was holding a gun. How the hell was he holding a gun? He was holding his phone and he was defending this poor woman. That is exactly what happened. So today we are asking for the federal officials who are saying to us that they're not going to investigate the murder of Renee Good, that they're not going to investigate the murder of Alex Pretti, that it's time for the state leadership to stand up and defend the residents of this great state. I also want to add, it is shameful for Minnesotans to know that in this moment, under this siege, that many Republican leaders are failing to even acknowledge the humanity of Alex Pretti. They're failing to even acknowledge untrained men killing people in broad daylight. Those who care about the Second Amendment, refusing to acknowledge that the fact that Kash Patel said on national TV, you should not carry guns. This is the Republican Party that teaches us about the Second Amendment. But I guess for who? Second Amendment for who, apparently? At this moment, we are asking for justice. If it's not going to come from the federal government, it is time for it to come from the state officials and state agencies that are responsible. We are tired as a community. We are outside every single day defending our neighbors. There are a lot of Alexes in our neighborhoods. There are a lot of Renee Goods in our neighborhoods. And they are at watch in this moment as I'm speaking. They are standing up for their neighbors. And they're being gunned down by the senseless attack from this administration. It is time for our state leaders to step up and stand up. In this moment right now, we're also asking, we're asking for people to continue to become constitutional observers. We're asking for people to continue to call their federal legislators. In fact, if you are not in Minnesota, everyone across this country, the one thing you can do today is call your senators and let them know to not support another dollar for ICE. We need in this moment to use every power that we have to speak up against this injustice that is taking place today. This injustice is horrible, it's problematic, and it's targeting our community right now. So we are asking for everyone across the country, that is your one ask, is to call your senators and let them know, do not fund ICE in this moment. And finally, to our beloved community in Minnesota, thank you. Thank you. Thank you for being the best of this nation. Thank you for continuing to stand up in the most frigid temperatures. Thank you for showing up on the streets. And to the incredible neighbors who saw Alex unfortunately murdered, and to the many businesses on that corridor. I spent this entire weekend over there with those businesses who are giving out free food in the middle of their own trauma that they were dealing with. Thank you. We see you. We love you. And we will be stronger. Minnesota, this is a historical moment that we will tell our great-grandchildren. But the story we're going to tell is not a story of defeat, but a story of victory. We're going to tell our great-grandchildren there was a time when the federal government chose to ignore and attack our Constitution. And it was Minnesotans who braved the coldest temperatures to stand up against this administration. How ironic that ICE came to the place we make ICE every single day. But it is going to be the place where we end ICE, because we know how to deal with ICE, whether it is cold temperature of water or those who try to usurp the Constitution of the United States of America. In this moment, Minnesota, we are on the clock. Do not retrieve, do not go home, stand with each other, with our neighbors. We will win. We are winning in this moment. Let's continue the fight. And for the state leadership, you're on the clock. I don't want to hear anything more about begging the freaking federal government to hold those officers accountable. And finally, we need the names of every single officer who murdered Alex Pretti. We need to know who they are. We need to know what they were doing there. And why did they shove that woman and kill Alex Pretti? That is the questions that we have as a public. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jelani Hussein. We next have Michelle Gross, who's from the Communities United Against Police Brutality.
Good afternoon. My name is Michelle Gross. I'm the president of Communities United Against Police Brutality, MICHELLEGROSS. All of our hearts are deeply saddened and broken at what ICE has done in our community by killing yet another member of our community. Last night, our organization sent the following letter to A.G. Ellison, Drew Evans, the director of the BCA, and Mary Moriarty, the Hennepin County attorney. With due respect, is there any reason the ICE agents who have killed 2 of our community members have not been arrested? If any other people, including their victims, had engaged in this conduct, they would be in jail at least long enough to have a bail hearing, which would likely set conditions prohibiting them from leaving the state. It is obscene that the dangerous individuals involved are free to continue roaming our community or possibly absconding from the state. When I raised this exact question to Sheriff Witt, I got a vague reply about them being law enforcement. That answer is not good enough. Had Jonathan Ross been arrested, it would likely have served as a deterrent for other ICE agents to understand that they do not have some magical immunity for committing crimes and violating our state laws. Alex Pretti may not have been killed. I appreciate their efforts to gather evidence, but in both cases there are abundant videos and witnesses to at least provide probable cause for an arrest. What's the holdup? While these ICE agents who have committed murder, who have killed our neighbors, are out roaming the streets or even possibly leaving the state, the FBI was busy arresting nonviolent, peaceful protesters who raised in the church the fact that one of their ministers is the regional director for ICE that is doing so much harm in our community. Those individuals had their door broken down at 3 in the morning, dragged out of their home, and then taken to court and placed in shackles while they were taken to the Sherburne County Jail. That's the treatment nonviolent, peaceful protesters who expose ICE get. But what is the treatment for agents who murder and shoot our neighbors? Nothing. This is outrageous. We are not standing for it. The murderers remain free, and that is unacceptable. Meanwhile, Pam Bondi sent a letter to our governor saying, we'll go away, no problem, just give us your voter list. Violate your people's rights to privacy, and we will go away. That's a devil's deal, and we'll never go for it. That's unacceptable. And while that's going on, we are looking at whether or not ICE will continue to get funding. 7 members of the House Democrats switched sides to make sure that they did. Now the vote goes to the Senate, and they tell us, oh, we're not going to give them any more funding. Or maybe we'll give them more funding if they get body cameras and a little bit better training. Unacceptable. Unacceptable. We are not going to go along with this deal making that happens in the background so that they can all look good when election time comes while our members of our community are getting gunned down and murdered by ICE. We're not having it. We urge people to reach out to the Senate, to your senator and every other senator, and tell them, do not vote for further funding.
That part.
At the same time, we demand our local law enforcement arrest these agents who were involved in these murderous conduct, start this investigation, and prosecute them to the fullest extent of the law. There is no basis for saying that they cannot prosecute these agents for violation of state laws. There is very ample legal research that shows that they can, and in fact, it has happened in other states. We know it can happen, and they better get to it. We are in a hotbed right now. People are deeply fearful just to go about their daily lives. We need safety, we need it now, and we demand that the people who are responsible for ensuring our safety get off the dime and get it done. Yes. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Michelle. Next, we have Marsha Howard from MFT.
Hello. I'm going to use my teacher voice. I'm Marsha Howard, and I'm going to be a little counterintuitive. People know me as an educator. I've taught at RHS, Roosevelt High School, since 1998, and it did not shock me when I saw Greg Bovino assault my school in particular, though now I am the president of Minneapolis Federation of Educators. It did not shock me when my neighborhood signal chat said there's a little lady with a big hat down the street at Phelps Park on my block that same day. That didn't shock me. That didn't shock me, because everything old is new again. When Derek Chauvin put his knee on the neck of George Floyd and smiled at my student, Darnella Frazier, while she was filming. Don't that remind you of Jonathan Ross saying F and B when he shot our community member? And y'all remember, on 6/3, remember that number? On June 3rd, they opened the square forcefully, and then they killed a former student of mine, Winston Boogie Smith, in Uptown to try to lure the radicals out of the square into Uptown to mess up Uptown, right? On 6/3, right? And it was a multi-jurisdictional task force, and nobody got blamed and nobody took credit, right? They shot him with his brand new girlfriend who just happened to pick Stella's and happened to get out of the car when they shot up the car, right? And nobody got in trouble, and nobody got in trouble about it at all. 6/3. When did ICE come here and get on Lake Street and Bloomington, y'all? 2025. When was it? June 3rd, otherwise known as what? 6/3. History don't repeat, it rhymes, and I recognize the beat. Now, y'all got Alex Pretti, who's a VA nurse from my VA that I've been going to since I retired from the United States Marines. He had a phone and, just like me, an authorized weapon. We say at George Floyd Square, assumption number 2, assume everybody is armed. So it pays to be what? Patient and polite. I'm an American. I'll carry what I can carry as long as I'm legally able to carry it. Hashtag 2A. I wish you would. I wish you would. And he was unarmed when he was assaulted. And I said I was going to be counterintuitive because y'all are asking for him to be charged, the agent or agents that murdered this man, that shot a killing blow and then unloaded 9 additional rounds into this man's body. You're saying charge him. What, the BCA? The BCA investigate? MPD, who we saw the morning of troop in to preserve a crime scene and then dolefully troop right back out? The MPD, under the direction of Mayor Fry, who when in a debate with Omar Fattah, he was asked, Omar Fattah said that he would arrest ICE agents who committed flagrant, egregious crimes against citizens. And he only had one question: how? How? And his backer said he won the debate because he asked such a relevant question. How would we fight? I just command the MPD. They couldn't possibly do anything against federal agents. Big bank take little bank. Big bank take little bank. So now we are all victims of the Eye of Sauron from out east having now spied something that he wants. Minnesota. They hate us because they ain't us. They want our Great Lakes. We got all this water, y'all. They want our welfare state, and welfare got a dirty word. What that means is we take care of us. I'm sorry that the Lutherans are so nice and generous. I'm sorry they sponsored all the Southeast Asians after our secret war in Vietnam. We got the highest percentage of Hmong folk outside of Thailand, Vietnam, Laos. We got the highest percentage of Somali folk, shout out to Toronto though, outside of Somalia and Somaliland. The Karen folk are here. Black folk moved to this state from Chicago, Nebraska, Iowa, East St. Louis, and thrived. They hate us because we don't hate each other. And he thought this would be a proving ground. He thought that if he could do this operation, if he could break Minnesota, then he could replicate it in states across the nation. But what we are showing him every day is that we are better neighbors 3 weeks in than we were 3 weeks ago. We know each other better now than we knew each other then. We are showing them that we're unbreakable, are we not? Even in the snow, even in the snow, even in the cold, even in the cold. You ever heard of a Minnesota goodbye? It's gonna be a long time, don't you know? Folks are repping their Minnesota flag because we're banding together. And if the MPD ever wants to defy their strong mayor and actually act like they're worth their budget, they went, what, 9 million or 19 million over budget? I'm not sure. Then why don't they just vote with their feet and start acting like they worth something? Because I will still hold strong to this. There is no 5-year-old child in their underoos in their bed saying, I want to be a police officer, ever thought that he wanted to be a bad guy. They wanted to save their community. And now's the opportunity to do that. This would be a great opportunity to do that. They need to find and arrest and charge the people who killed the people of Minnesota. They need to do it, and they need to do it swiftly, because justice must be swift. It must be swift. We are not asking, we're demanding, because power concedes nothing without a demand, and we are demanding justice. We are demanding justice for Alex Pretti. We're demanding justice. We're demanding justice. We're demanding justice for all these stolen lives, for all the children that are afraid to go to school, for all the families that have to lean on their families to go get groceries and medicine. We're demanding justice for all Minnesotans right now who have to do soul searching as to what it means to be American. And for some of y'all who say, well, it's about time, then it's about time. This is the time. The time is now. We're Minnesota, and this is making us greater because we're sticking together. That's why they mad at us. We better, we greater, Minnesota.
What do we want?
Justice!
When do we want it?
Now!
What do we want?
Justice!
When do we want it?
Now!
Next, we have Ava from Ayala Leeds. Ava?
Hello, everyone. A lot louder. Hello, everyone. My name is Ava, and I have a few words on behalf of Ayala Leeds. I am their civic engagement and advocacy manager. We are devastated by the killing of Alex Jeffrey Pretti, a community member. Another life lost, another family shattered, another wave of grief carried by a community that is already overwhelmed. We are tired of mourning. It is not just that our neighbors are asked to absorb loss after loss, week after week. It is not just that fear has replaced normalcy and that grief has become routine. Our communities deserve to live, breathe, to gather, to work, and to raise our children without the expectation of tragedy. We deserve safety without violence, accountability without bloodshed, and peace without more funerals. We are asking plainly and urgently for calm, for restraint, and for humanity. We are begging for peace, and enough is enough. We cannot keep burying our community members. We cannot keep explaining loss to our children. We are begging for this cycle to stop. We are begging for peace, for life, and for the chance to live without fear. Thank you.
Thank you so much. You know, I was with Senator Omar Fateh at the unneeded memorial site yesterday, and he was speaking to constituents, and there was something that he kept saying that rings in my ear right now, which is none of us here were alive in the 40s and 50s, at least the folks that are standing behind me, right? The question then is, if you were alive then, what would you have done? And what you have done would be how you're acting right now. There's no space for I want the peace, or there's no space for I'm gonna stay out of it. Justice is being in it. Next, we have local civil rights leader and activist and organizer, Raj, speaking.
Not a civil rights leader yet, but talking about the civil rights leaders though, 2 of them were arrested because they showed up in a church demanding that the church thinks critically about what it's teaching and what it is doing, right? And for that, Pam Bundy called for their arrest. And I'm saying that these are the kinds of violations that needs to stop. These type of calls for arrest of peaceful protesters need to stop. We are calling for Pam Bundy and the Border Patrol folks, as well as the FBI director, to be arrested if they show up in our city, because they are lying about what happened here, right? And that lie is causing chaos and confusion here. And it's time for us to stop. The International Court gave a warrant for the arrest of Netanyahu after they reviewed the cases and decided that it was a genocide of what is happening to our Palestinian brothers and sisters and relatives. Likewise, we are asking for our county attorneys, as well as city attorneys, as well as city councils, as well as Keith Allison's office, to issue a warrant for arresting these people for the pure lie. They don't need any more investigation than what is, the evidence is available, right? So we are asking for that. We are also asking for ICE agents who are causing child endangerment to be arrested. If I were to leave my child in a car for an hour or so, I will be arrested. I will be charged, right? We have those laws in Minnesota that says that child endangerment and child neglect is a violation of our laws. And yet, cases after cases where agents are removing parents without addressing the needs of our children, and our Department of Human Services and Health and Human Services and others are just simply throwing their hands up and saying, we don't know what to do. You will arrest me. I want the same thing applied to these agents who are neglecting, who are causing child endangerment in our community, to be arrested. Issue a warrant to be arrested. Whether that happens right away or not, at least I know that you're committed to upholding the law that you are going to uphold me for, right? So I'm asking for fairness and an equitable process to be in place. So city councils, members, please, you are the bosses of the police department. Ask your police department to arrest those officers or agents who are causing murder in our streets and stress in our streets and using abusive forces to tackle people who are peacefully showing up. Our police department can and should do this, and I'm asking all city council members, especially Minneapolis and St. Paul, to arrest them. Instead, our sheriff's department here shows up and attacks peaceful protesters. Right here, our sheriff's department in Hennepin County. What the hell is going on? Right? Why are we not holding the people who are causing the harm responsible? Instead, the people who are harmed are the ones who are further experiencing harm. The St. Paul Police Department showed up and attacked the community that showed up to help the community that is suffering as a result of ICE showing up there and defending ICE. They will say they didn't defend ICE, and yet the actions tells me that you're defending ICE. You have hurt and harmed our community that peacefully showed up, and yet the police chief and others are still receiving their paycheck and still walking around defending their position. It is time for City Council in St. Paul, City Council here, to issue the authority to our police department to arrest these folks, and for the Ramsey County and the Hennepin County commissioners to issue ordinance and give our sheriff's department the authority to arrest abusive practices. Stop arresting peaceful protesters. We are showing up to defend our community. We are not showing up to attack anyone. And yet our Ramsey County commissioners and Hennepin County commissioners are sitting around and not doing anything. So I'm calling on them to act. We need action, y'all, not rhetoric. Enough with your fucking rhetoric. Thank you.
And then we'll end with the Good Reverend Jared Morey, Director of Civic Dialogue at the Minnesota Council of Churches.
First, I'd like to share a note of gratitude for every single person in the state of Minnesota right now who is doing anything to love their neighbors. Anybody who is doing anything to show care and compassion to the people around them and to keep our communities safe, we are so grateful for your efforts. I'm going to amplify a message released by our CEO, Elder Suzanne P. Kelly, on Sunday. Alex Pretti was killed by federal law enforcement officers who have occupied our state for weeks. That death came less than 24 hours after thousands of clergy, lay leaders, union members, and ordinary residents across the state came together for a day of prayer, fasting, peaceful protest, and a unified call for ICE to leave Minnesota. We gathered seeking peace, but we woke on Saturday to more bloodshed. We now await the results of what we expect from our state officials will be a full and as joint as possible investigation into the cause of Alex Pretti's death and persecution of those responsible. As facts are gathered, the impact is already clear, and we echo the words of Minneapolis Police Chief Brian O'Hara, who said, "This is not sustainable." He is right. Our neighbors and our neighborhoods are being traumatized. Families are afraid to leave their homes, to go to the doctor, to buy groceries. Parents are afraid to send their children to school. Fear has settled into the ordinary rhythms of life, and that is not how any community is called to live. We support the governor's request to the president to remove this force from Minnesota. This is not about politics, it is about human life, community safety, and moral responsibility. I am a Christian. I share that as a side note. Christians across the state on Sunday gathered in houses of worship. We lifted our voices to heaven, and we read from the scriptures. In the scriptures we find 2 Chronicles, "If my people who are called by my name humble themselves and pray and seek my face and turn from their wicked ways, then I will hear from heaven, will forgive their sin, and will heal their land." We pray for that healing. We pray for a city that feels surrounded. but we trust that God will be our refuge in the midst. Like Paul, many of us feel confined, but we do not feel abandoned. We feel pressed in body, yet free in spirit. We remember the words of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., that hate cannot drive out hate, and only love can do that. And I share, from my own perspective as the Director of Civic Dialogue at the Minnesota Council of Churches, one of the values that we hold dearest is that of empathy, understanding the perspective of the other. And I say to all of those young men who find themselves new to our community on our streets, I echo the words of Ms. Howard, who shared that you did not think as a child when you wanted to grow up that you would be seen as a perpetrator. You did not imagine yourself committing this violence and bringing this chaos to a community. We don't imagine that for you either. There is a greater call on your life. You can still answer that call. You can repent, you can turn, you can do good in your home. And we beg you to do so. Right now, we pray for an investigation. We call for an investigation into the killing of Alex Pretti and Renee Good. And we support those who call for justice and peace and safety and freedom in our streets.
That concludes our press conference. We can answer some questions if you have.
Thanks for your time.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks, everybody.